Hey, Canucks fans, it looks like Sportsnet has found at least a partial replacement for John Garrett. I'll get to that in a couple of minutes, but first, a couple of announcements and a word about last night's Game 1. So for all of you, I hope you join me tonight at 10:30 p.m. right here on this channel for my weekly Sunday night live stream. Again, 10:30 tonight Pacific time. And actually before that, at 9 o'clock, Legends and Hall of Fame. Don't forget, it's our monthly group Zoom chat. I'll put that link on my community tab as well. Now, Game 1, Vegas. You look at the score, it looks like Vegas kind of easily handled the Florida Panthers. I don't think that's true, but Vegas was the better team when they needed to be last night in pulling off a 5-2 victory. I had a great time with Peter from Game Over Calgary and Lauren from Game Over Toronto. We did Game Over Cup Final last night on the SDPN channel. Great discussion. Many of you were there. Thank you. And what I said last night, and I still stick to today, is the two things that stood out to me was, number one, how Vegas really tried to neutralize Matthew Tkachuk. Tkachuk ended off with no points, 14 penalty minutes, and I'll get to that in a second. But really, obviously Tkachuk has been such a dominant player in the playoffs, 21 points leading coming into last night's game, and then held off the score sheet last night. So I thought Vegas did a pretty good job of playing him hard and just neutralizing him and not really falling for a lot of his antics. And there are a lot of antics. That's what makes Tkachuk such a really good player. The other thing I really noticed is the difference in discipline. After every single whistle, Florida had that kind of pack mentality where there were 3-4 guys surrounding this guy. You might remember that time where actually Tkachuk had Shea Theodore's jersey and was kind of ragdolling him. It was very similar to what Brad Marchand did to Daniel Sedin 12 years ago. But you can tell that Florida is the aggressor, the instigator, and it shows in the penalty minutes. I know a lot of them came in garbage time, but Florida had 46 penalty minutes where Vegas only had 18, and Vegas made them pay, going 2 for 7 on the power play. So to me, that's what stood out from last night's game. A, the way that Vegas tried to manage and neutralize Matthew Tkachuk, and B, the difference in discipline. So we'll see what happens in Game 2 tomorrow night, but overall, I thought it was a great start to the Stanley Cup Finals. Let me know in the comments what you thought about last night's game, if you agree with my points, and if you have other things you want to bring up about last night's contest. Let's get to the Vancouver Canucks, our local team. There's been many stories breaking or reporting over the past 4 or 5 days that Sportsnet has found a replacement, at least a partial replacement, for the outgoing John Garrett. And that would be really popular analyst Ray Ferraro. Now, Ferraro is 58 years old. He's from Trail. We know him in the local market for a couple of reasons, because he was a local player. He's married to assistant GM Cami Granato. And we also know that he was on TSN 1040 for many, many years. And then right now he's doing some color commentary for ESPN. So we'll talk about what the deal might look like, and then we'll talk about why Ferraro is likely a really good fit for this job. Now, I think it's been reported he's got at least one more year left on his ESPN contract. So if he's got one more year left on that ESPN contract, he can't fully commit to the Canucks, obviously. And remember, the Canucks, they technically don't have to find coverage for all 82 games, because a handful of them, maybe a dozen or so, will be carried nationally by Hockey Night in Canada. So we'll get whatever national crew. But you're still looking at filling somewhere between 60 and 70 games. And it looks like Ferraro's first season, if this is indeed true, and he becomes the new color commentator on Sportsnet, likely a maximum of about 25 games, and maybe home games. It really depends, I guess, on his ESPN contract, what they'll allow him to do. But let's count on, if this is true, indeed true, it comes to fruition, Ray Ferraro doing about a third of the games for the Vancouver Canucks, 25 games or so. So, and we can talk about potential substitutes or candidates for those other games that we're missing, but we'll do that at the very end of this video. But in Ray Ferraro, there's so many things I like about him, and there's so many reasons why he's going to be a great replacement if it's indeed true. And I'll stop saying that. Let's pretend it is true, just so I can stop saying that in the video. No one's going to replace John Garrett. No one's going to be exactly like him in the chemistry he had with John Shorthouse. But I think Ray Ferraro can be just as good. I really do. And I don't mean that as a slight to John Garrett. John Garrett was really good, and I think Ray Ferraro is very good. Ferraro already has an existing relationship with John Shorthouse and Dan Murphy. He knows the Vancouver market very well, living here, of course, with his wife Cami, and and being a former player. Ray Ferraro played for almost 20 years in the NHL. Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, 18 seasons or so. He was good. You guys, anyone who doesn't know him, he was a really good goal scorer. He had years. He had a 40 goal season, and then a bunch of 25, 22, 21, 29 goal season later in his career. He maxed out at 80 points in 80 games, but then he was a 2/3 point per game player. He had basically 900 points in 1,250 career games, which is pretty good. Now, what I like about Ray Ferraro, and agree or disagree with this, he might not know the most about what's happening behind the scenes, so contracts and salary cap, trades, drafts, and all that. But what he's really good at is breaking down what happens on the ice. As a former player of 17 or 18 seasons, and especially as a skilled player, what I really appreciate about Ferraro when I listen to him talk is the way he breaks down plays, the way he gets into players' heads in a good way, and really can talk about what they're thinking here, what a player with this strength might do here, what a player with this weakness may have to compensate there. I just really find that when he talks about the game itself, what's happening on the ice, between the whistles, after the whistles too, but the way that playmakers especially set up plays, make plays, the way that smart elite players like Pedersen and so on and so forth, the way they think, that is what I really appreciate about Ray Ferraro. And if he can bring that type of insight to the broadcast, I think Canucks fans and hockey fans overall will be very, very blessed by that. And he doesn't have to be as funny as John Garrett. He doesn't have to be as quirky as John Garrett, because I'm not sure that anyone is. But if Ray Ferraro establishes his own identity, his own mannerisms, his own sayings, his own whatever it may be, I think that he's going to be an excellent addition. So once again, just from watching him on TV, from listening to him on podcasts, on interviews, and especially when he was on, did guest spots on TSN 1040, really, really smart hockey guy. And not only a smart hockey guy, but he can articulate himself very well. He's very well spoken. He doesn't. He can be self-deprecating when he needs to be too, which I also like about Ray a lot. I've met him a couple times in real life, and he's always been friendly, gracious to me. So overall, I think this would be a slam dunk, a home run, whatever other sport analogy you want to use. But I think this would be a really, really good pickup by Sportsnet, and Vancouver Canucks fans will benefit from it. So Ray Ferraro, that's what I think about him, and I really hope that these early reports are true. Finally, who would do the other 40 to 50 games that they need coverage for? I've heard names like Corey Hirsch, who's done it on the radio, Randeep Janda, who's right now doing it on the radio, Dave Tomlinson, speaking of ex-players and ex-TSN 1040 guys, he's doing some Seattle work. He'd be really good. I've also heard names like Yannick Hansen, Corey Schneider, ex-Canucks, Alex Auld, whoever it may be. And all those, I like some of those guys more than others, but I won't want to speculate too much right now. I'd rather talk about it when it actually happens. But there are some names that I've heard kind of being thrown out there. Joey Kenward's another one, a longtime Canucks employee. But for now, I think the focus is on Ray Ferraro likely coming in and doing about a third of the games for Sportsnet for the Vancouver Canucks. Finally, there's been a story, it was Daniel Wagner, Vancouver's Awesome, suggesting that maybe this would be a conflict of interest because, like I said, Ray Ferraro's wife is Cami Granato, assistant GM. And where I appreciate where Daniel Wagner is coming from, I don't really see it. I don't think Ray is going to go either. I don't think he's going to be the absolute homer because that's kind of not how he is. But I also don't think he's going to I definitely don't think he's going to go too hard on the team either, especially I'm not worried about the backlash from media or from the Canucks. I'm worried about the backlash he's going to get when he walks in the front door at the end of a Canucks loss. So I can see where it might look a little funny on the surface where you have an assistant GM and the husband is a color commentator, but at the same time, because they are relatively separate kind of roles and one doesn't really affect the other, one will be commenting maybe on some decisions that the other one made to help shape what's happening on the ice. I don't see it as an issue, and I think it's much to do about nothing. So, Canucks fans, let me know what you think about all those things. Game 1 in the Stanley Cup Final, and especially about the reports that Ray Ferraro will be replacing John Garrett for about 25 games this season, hopefully leading to a longer-term relationship with Sportsnet. Let me know in the comments below. Also, thank you to my sponsors, Van City Experts Real Estate, Perform and Transform, Personal Training and Weight Loss. Thank you, legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Carol Bovelander, legendary Andrew Chang, and thanks to Hall of Fame and franchise members as well. And thanks to all of you for subscribing and for watching these videos. Always appreciate you. never take you for granted. So subscribe, like the video, leave a donation, become a member, upgrade your membership. And of course, tonight, 10:30 p.m., join me for my live stream and Legends and Hall of Fames. I'll see you a bit before that, 9 o'clock, for my monthly Zoom.